economic possibilities for our grandchildren. 1930. We are suffering just now from a bad attack of economic pessimism. It is common to hear people say that the epoch of enormous economic progress which characterized the 19th century is over, that the rapid improvement in the standards of life is now going to slow down, at any rate in Great Britain, that a decline in prosperity is more likely than an improvement in the decade which lies ahead of us. I believe that this is a wildly mistaken interpretation of what is happening to us. We are suffering not from the rheumatics of old age, but from the growing pains of over rapid changes. From the painfulness of readjustment between one economic period and another. The increase of technical efficiency has been taking place faster than we can deal with the problem of labor absorption. The improvement in the standard of life has been a little too quick. The banking and monetary system of the world has been preventing the rate of interest from falling as fast as equilibrium requires. The prevailing world depression, the enormous anomaly of unemployment in a world full of wants, the disastrous mistakes we have made blind us to what is going on under the surface to the true interpretation of the trend of things. For I predict that both of the two opposite errors of pessimism which now makes so much noise in the world will be proved wrong in our own time. The pessimism of the revolutionaries who think that things are so bad that nothing can save us but violent change, are the pessimists of the reactionaries who consider the balance of our economic and social life so precarious that we must risk no experiments. My purpose in this essay, however, is not to examine the present or the near future, but to disembarrass myself of short views and take wings into the future. What can be reasonably expect the level of our economic life to the 100 years ends? What are the economic possibilities for our grandchildren? From the earliest time to of which we have record back, say, to 2,000 years before Christ down to the beginning of the 18th century, there was no very great change in the standard of life of the average man living in the civilized centers of earth. Ups and downs, certainly, visitation of plague, famine, and war, golden intervals, but no progressive violent change. Some periods perhaps so percent better than others at the almost 100% better in the 4,000 years, which period ended, say, in AD 7th century. This low rate of progress or lack of progress has due to two reasons to the remarkable absence of important technical improvements and to the failure of capital to accumulate. The absence of important technical inventions between the prehistoric age and comparatively modern times is truly remarkable. Almost everything which really matters and which the world processed at the commencement of the modern age was all already known to men at the dawn of history. Language, fire, the same domestic animals which we have today, wheat, barley, the vine and the olive, the plug, the wheel, the oar, the sail, litter, linen and clothes, bricks and pots, gold and silver, copper, tin, and the lead and iron was added to the list before 1000 BC. Bacon, statecrafts, mathematics, and astronomy and religion. There is no record of when we first possessed these things. At some epoch before the dawn of history, perhaps even in one of the comfortable intervals before the last ice age, there must have been an era of progress and invention comparable to that in which we live today, but through the greater part of recorded history, there was nothing of the kind. The modern age opened, I think, with the accumulation of capital which began in the 16th century. I believe for a reason with which I must now encumber the present argument that this was intimately due to the rise of prices and the profits to which that led, which resulted from the treasure of gold and silver which Spain brought from the New World into the Old. From that time until today, the power of accumulation by compound interest, which seems to have been sleeping for many generations, has reborn and renewed its strength. And the power of compound interest over 200 years is such as to stagger the imagination. From the 16th century, with a cumulative crescendo after the 80th, the great age of science and technical inventions began, which since the beginning of the 19th century has been in full flood. Coal, steam, electricity, petrol, steel, rubber, cotton, and chemical industries, automatic machinery, and the methods of mass productions, wireless, printing, Newton, Darwin, and Einstein, and thousands of other things and men too famous and familiar to catalog. What is the result? In spite of an enormous growth in the population of the world, which it has been necessary to equip with houses and machines, the average standard of life in Europe and the United States has been raised, I think, about fourfold. The growth of capital has been on a scale which is far beyond a hundredfold of what any previous age had known. And from now on, we need not expect so great an increase of population. If capital increases, say, 2% per annum, the capital equipment of the world will have increased by a half in 20 years and 7.5 times in 100 years. Think of this in terms of material things, houses, transport, and the like. At the same time, technical improvements in manufacture and transport have been processing at a great rate in the last 10 years, than ever before in history. In the United States, factories output per head was 40% greater than in 1950, 55, no, 25 than in 1990. In Europe, we are held back by temporary obstacles, but even so, if it's safe, if it's safe to say that technical efficiency is increasing by more than 1% per annum compound, there is evidence that the revolutionary techniques changes, which have so far chiefly affected in industry, may soon be attacking agriculture. We may be on the eve of improvements in the efficiency of food production as great as those which have already taken place in mining, manufacture, and transport. In quite a few years, in our own lifetimes, I mean, we may be able to perform all the operations of agriculture, mining, and manufacture with a quarter of the human effort to which we have been accustomed. For the moment, very rapidly of these changes is hurting us, and bringing difficult problems to solve. Those countries are suffering relatively, which are not in the vanguard of progress. We are being afflicted with a new disease of which some readers may not yet have heard the name, but of which they will hear a great deal in the years to come, namely technological unemployment. This means unemployment due to our discovery of means of economizing the use of labor, outrunning the pace and which we can find new uses for labor. But this is only a temporary phase of maladjustment. All this means in the long run that mankind is solving its economic problem. I will predict that the standard of life in progressive countries 100 years hence will be between 4 and 8 times as high as it is. There will be nothing surprising in this, even in the light of our present knowledge. I will not be foolish to contemplate the possibility of a far greater progress still. I draw the conclusion that assuming no important wars and no important increase in populations, the economic problem may be solved, or be at least within sight of solution within 100 years. This means that the economic problem is not if we look into the future the permanent problem of the human race. Why, you may ask, is this so stalling? It is stalling because if instead of looking into the future we look into the past, we find that the economic problem, the struggle for subsistence, always been hitherto the primary, the most precise problem of the human race, not only of the human race, but of whole of the biological kingdom. From the beginning of life, it is in its most primitive forms. Thus, we have been expressively involved by nature with all our impulses and deepest instincts for the purpose of solving the economic problem. If the economic problem is solved, mankind will be deprived of its traditional purpose. Will this be a benefit? If one believes that at all the real values of life, the prospect at least open up possibility of benefit. Yet, I think with dread of the readjustment of the habits and instincts of the ordinary man, bred into him for countless generations, which may be asked for discard within a few decades. The strenuous, purposeful money makers may carry all of us along with them into the lap of economic abundance, but it will be those peoples who can keep alive and cultivate into a fuller perfection the art of life itself, and do not sell themselves for a means of life, who will be able to enjoy the abundance when it comes. Yet there is no country and no people, I think, who can look forward of the age of leisure and of abundance without a dread. For we have been trained too long to strive and to go to enjoy and not to enjoy. It is a fearful problem to the ordinary person with no special talents to occupy himself, especially if especially if he no longer has roots in the soil or in custom or in the beloved conventions of all traditional society, to judge from the behavior of and the achievements of the wealthy classes today in any quarter of the world. The outlook is very depressing, for these are, so to speak, our advance to guard those who are spinning out the promised land for the rest of us and pitching their camp there. For they have most of them failed disastrously, so it seems to be to me those who have an independent income but no associations of duties or ties to solve the problems which has been set them. I feel sure that with a little more experience we shall use the newfound bounty of nature differently from the way in which the rich uses today, and will map out for ourselves a plan of quite a little quite otherwise than theirs. For many ages to come, the old Adam will be strong in us that everybody will need to do some work if is to be contented. We shall do more things for ourselves than is usual with the rich today, only too glad to save small duties and tasks and routines. But beyond this, we shall endeavor to spread the bread thing on the butter to make than that work there is still to be done. There's still to be done to be as widely shared as possible. 3 hour shifts or a 15-hour week may put off the problem for a great while. For 3 hours a day is quite enough to satisfy the old Adam in most of us.